What's up, y'all? It's your girl Lady Miz, and I'm back again with another video. This video I'm going to be explaining to you why it's important to have good credit and a few tips that you can do to boost your credit score. So the first thing I want to tell you is that there are 3 different credit bureaus that you need to know about if you don't already know. One of them is called TransUnion. The other one is called Equifax. And then lastly, the other one is called Experian. You should check all 3 different credit bureaus so that you can know what each score is. Your score can be different with each one because sometimes the creditors, when they report, let's say, I'm just going to give an example. If you have a Macy's card, they might just be reporting to TransUnion, but they're not reporting to Experian or Equifax. And when that happens, that makes the score different for each one. The other thing I want to tell you is there's something called a FICO score, and that's what most mortgages and banks use when they're trying to check your score and see if you can get approved for a mortgage. Why is it important to have good credit is because, especially in today's time, jobs look at your credit score now. Before that wasn't the case, but now it is the case. So you must have good credit in order for you to even get a job. If you want to rent, then the landlord will check your credit score. And again, as I stated, mortgage. If you want to get a mortgage or a car loan, anything that requires you borrowing money, people are going to check your credit. Now let's talk about why that's important and why they do that. They check your credit because, let's just cut to the chase. If you are not a responsible person that don't pay your bills or pay people back, then why would someone else think that they can trust to lend you money if you have a poor record in history of paying people back? So your credit score is kind of like it's like a resume of how you pay your bills and how responsible you are with your money. If you're a person who doesn't have any credit and you're trying to build up your credit, here's a couple of tips that can help you. One, you can either piggyback off of somebody. Like with my kids, I put them on my credit cards, right? So now they kind of like take on my credit score, and it helps boost their credit score up. So once their credit score is good, they can now go on their own and apply for their own credit, and then they start to build their own credit up. So that's kind of like helping them kind of get in the door a little bit and start to establish credit. I would never ever recommend that anyone do that for strangers or someone that they don't know. Another way you can build your credit is applying for a secured credit card. And what that is, it's a credit card where you use your own money to build your credit. So you would actually be taking your liquid cash and depositing it onto a credit card. You could do it through your bank or wherever they allow you to do it. You put your own money on the card, and then you use that card, and that card will report to the credit bureaus as if you were actually using it and paying it back, but technically you're only really using your own money. And that's another way that you can build up your credit. When you do that, you reach a point where once they're reporting to the credit bureaus, then now you would reach a point where they will start offering you unsecured credit cards. And that is basically like a loan, right? So this is money that you're kind of borrowing from the bank, whichever bank is that's allowing you to use that money, and you're paying it back, and you're paying it back with interest. A lot of times people get into credit card debt, or people that don't really understand credit, they think that when you have a credit card, you could just go spend and buy what you want and you don't have to pay it back. Or some people might think that, oh, I love this nice pocketbook or whatever, I'm gonna buy it for $100, and they think that they're gonna pay $100. Well, there's something called APR, annual percentage rate, right? So depending on what your APR is, that means that you will be paying that $100 plus whatever percentage your APR is. So when you're paying that money back, you might have your bill, which was $100, but once they tack on that APR, it can end up being maybe $115 or $120 or $105. It's all based on the percentage of the APR. So if you don't pay that balance in full, you will most likely be paying more than what you spent. So you got to keep that in mind. Now, some cards require you to always pay the balance in full, and that's really like just American Express. But they do have some American Express cards where you do not have to pay it back in full. You can make payments and pay your interest rate. So what's the difference between a secured credit card, a unsecured credit card, a mortgage, and a car loan? There's not much of a big difference when it comes to paying back, because all of them requires you to pay the money that you used to get the item that you wanted or the purchase that you wanted back with interest tacked onto it. So always remember, when you're spending money on credit, you are most likely not paying the amount that you borrow. You're paying more. Now let me tell you guys a little secret that I used for many years that worked for me, and it can work for you if you follow these steps. So I never have a car payment ever. Okay, now don't get me wrong, I might have it for the first month if I want to, but I never have a car payment. And here's how I get around not having a car payment. If I want a new car, because I keep my credit good, I go and I purchase a car, whatever car I want, right? Once I purchase the car, I look at my credit cards and I see which one of these credit cards is offering a 0% for maybe a year, right? And I also see what are the balance transfer fees that's involved. But let's say I got let's say I had a vehicle, I go get a car and it's $30,000. I go look at my credit cards and I see which one of them are offering 0%, and do they have a fee to do a balance transfer, or is it a very small rate? I look at whoever either has no fee, or I look at if the whatever the fee is for the balance transfer, is it a very small amount? Once I figure that out, then I take the money off of my card. I either have them deposited directly into my account, or I pay the other creditor off. So the reason that I do this, some people would say it's not good because it can affect your credit score, because now your credit to debt ratio is higher. They don't like you to have cards with large amounts on them. They really want to see it be really less than 30% of what your available credit is. But the reason that I do it the way that I do it is for several reasons. One, I take the money off my credit card, I pay off the car. What does that do? Now, basically, if anything was to happen and I fell on hard times, they can't take the car from me. The car is mine. I paid it off. There's no lien. I own the vehicle. But who do I have to pay back? I still have to pay back the credit card. But what I like about paying back the credit card versus paying back a loan, car loan, is that the car loan has one payment every single month. It never changes, okay? So if I'm paying them, let's say I say, oh, I want to put an extra $5,000 on the loan. I could put the $5,000 on there, but the only issue with that is it still remains the same payment amount each month. So when I'm paying the credit card back, every time I pay this credit card back, my payment responsibility is less and less each month, because they base your payment off of your balance. So most of the time I do like a 1 year or 18 months balance transfer. I paid the vehicle off. I own the vehicle. Now I'm just paying the credit card back. I'm saving money over time because I'm not paying interest on it. And on top of that, every time I pay, let's say my payments was $500, next month it might just be $400, or it might go to $300. Each time I pay, my payment requirement gets less and less each and every month, which means that it frees up money for me to either do other things or to put more into that so I can pay it off quicker. That has always been my technique. So I know people probably look like, how does she have this car or get that? And yeah, and they probably thinking that I have car payments. I do not. I never ever have car payments. If I can help it. Okay. I guess if I went out and got a car that I couldn't afford, that my credit cards couldn't cover, then I might be in some trouble and probably got to deal with car payments. But no, other than that, I don't have car payments. I have not had a car payment since probably 20 years. I hope that this was helpful. That's my tip. But I do want to tell you guys this one thing that you do have to know. When you do a balance transfer, most likely there is a fee involved. So you got to do the math too. So for example, let's say I take this money and I pay off the car, and I use the money from my credit card to pay off the vehicle, and they say that, well, your fee is $800. In my mind, I say, okay, it's going to cost me $800 to transfer this balance. I totally think it's worth it because in interest, within probably 3 to 4 months, I would have paid the $800 in interest alone, just giving the bank and paying the bank directly. So I look at myself like, okay, I'll be kind of in a hole for 3 months as far as not coming out on top, because I don't break even until I actually pay off that extra money that I paid in fees. But it's not like I got to pay it in fees up front. All they do is tack it onto my balance. But in the long run, I'm saving way much more over the course of time by paying my credit card back versus paying the actual loan back. So that's my little tip, and that's my little secret that I've been using for several years, which allowed me to keep building my credit, get any vehicle that I want, and basically do good. So the key to this is, the moral to the story, make sure you take care of your credit, and when you do, that will open the door for you to be able to do other things. I hope you guys found this video very helpful. Thank you for tuning in to Everything's Teachable. Gotta get more into the groove of things when it comes to this channel. It is new, so bear with me. I'm asking you to please like, please subscribe, and please share this video, okay? Thanks for tuning in. Love you guys. Later.